I actually thought Pau should have been the MVP.
June 17th, 2010, Staples Center.
Actually, everybody thought Pau Gasol should have been MVP.
Game 7 of the NBA Finals. The Los Angeles Lakers versus the Boston Celtics. The greatest rivalry in basketball history, meeting for the 12th time in the finals. When the final buzzer sounded and Lakers won 83-79, one narrative dominated. Kobe Bryant, redemption achieved. 6 for 24 from the field, didn't matter. This was his coronation, his 5th ring, his 2nd straight finals MVP. But 15 years later, cracks started appearing in that narrative. Now, you might be thinking like I am. Of course they are saying this. Wade and Pierce, they're just trying to tear down Kobe's legacy. And I believe that's so. And maybe you're right. Maybe there's something of that. But what if they're not wrong? By the way, I don't believe this hypothesis. Today, we are going to dig into the primary sources, the newspapers from June 2010, the game-by-game statistics, the voting breakdown, and we are going to ask a question that nobody wanted to ask 15 years ago. Let's rewind to June 17, 2008, same building, same matchup, completely different result. The Boston Celtics demolished the Lakers 131-92 in Game 6. It wasn't just a loss, it was humiliation. Kobe Bryant had finally escaped Shaq's shadow, had finally gotten his team, and promptly got destroyed by Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce and Ray Allen. The Big Three embarrassed the Black Mamba on the biggest stage. Pau Gasol, in his first finals appearance, averaged just 14.7 points and looked soft against Boston's physicality. The 2009 championship against Orlando was nice, but it didn't erase 2008. That stain remained. Kobe needed to beat Boston. He needed redemption. The media understood this. The fans understood this. This wasn't just about a championship, it was about legacy. So when the Lakers and Celtics met again in 2010, the narrative was already written. This was Kobe's redemption arc, his chance to avenge 2008, to prove he could win without Shaq and beat the team that had embarrassed him. The series went back and forth. Boston took a 3-2 lead, the Lakers forced Game 7, and on that June night in Los Angeles, with everything on the line, Kobe Bryant shot 6 for 24, 25% shooting, in Game 7 of the NBA Finals, against your arch rival in front of your home crowd. But here's the magic of narrative kicks in. Kobe scored 10 of his 23 points in the 4th quarter. He grabbed 15 rebounds, a career high for him in any playoff game. The Lakers won, and immediately the story became Kobe willed his team to victory. He found a way even when his shot wasn't falling. This is what champions do. Bob Ryan, the legendary Boston Globe columnist, captured this perfectly in his column from June 18, 2010. Let me read you this passage. There was much historical talk circulating around this Game 7, and rightly so. Kobe Bryant seemed to be the only person unwilling to insert himself into broad sweep of Lakers lore. Ain't got nothing to do with me right now. He grunted and prodded for what seemed like the 1000th time in these proceedings. It has got nothing to do with me. This became the story. Kobe, humble in victory. Kobe, putting team above self. Kobe, the ultimate competitor who found a way to win even on his worst shooting night. When the votes were counted, Kobe Bryant received 7 votes for Finals MVP, Pau Gasol received 2. It wasn't even close. The narrative had won. But what if we strip away the narrative? What if we just look at what actually happened on the basketball court? That is where things gets interesting. Let's start with the full series numbers over 7 games. Now, at first glance, you might say, well, Kobe scored 10 more points per game, case closed, but hold on, let's dig deeper. Kobe averaged 25.8 field goal attempts per game. Pau averaged just 12.9. That's right, Kobe took almost exactly twice as many shots as Gasol to score 10 more points. On a per possession basis, Gasol was significantly more efficient. But here's where it gets really interesting. I want to show you something that appeared in a newspaper. This is from a section called The Hot Button by Israel Gutierrez of the Miami Herald. There could be a case made that Pau Gasol was the Finals MVP and not Bryant. In the 4 Lakers wins, Gasol averaged 18 points, 13.8 rebounds, 4.8 assists, and 2.5 block shots. Bryant, whose two biggest scoring efforts came in Boston wins, shot 37% in the 4 Lakers wins to average 27 points and averaged a full assist less than Gasol despite having the ball so much more. Not to mention his inflated 15 rebound total in the Game 7 was a desperate attempt to have some kind of positive impact on the game. Read that again. In the 4 games the Lakers won, Kobe shot 37% from the field. Pau nearly averaged a double-double with elite defense. Pau averaged only 1 less assist per game despite being a center, not the primary ball handler. This is crucial. Finals MVP is supposed to go to the player who was the most valuable winning the championship, not the player with the best narrative, not the player with the biggest name, the player who helped their team win the most. And in the games that mattered, in the games the Lakers actually won, Pau Gasol was dominant. But let's talk about Game 7 specifically because this is where the legend was born. Kobe going 6 for 24 but still winning Finals MVP, the ultimate proof that winners find a way. Except who actually kept the Lakers in that game. Gasol was more efficient, grabbed more rebounds, had twice as many assists, and played elite defense. Here's what really matters. From the Boston Globe, share a Springer's article. Bryant gets some valuable assistance. I wanted it so bad. On top of that, I was on E. Man, I was really tired. And more I tried to push, the more it kept getting away from me. I'm just glad that my teammates really got us back in the game. Kobe himself admitted he was exhausted. His shot wasn't falling. His teammates, and yes, that includes Pau Gasol, had to save him. The article continues. Bryant went 1 for 7 in the first quarter, 2 for 7 in the second. Gasol, who also struggled in stretching the lead, made 3 free throws down the stretch to help the Lakers penetrate the Celtics and hold off yet another comeback. He also had 18 rebounds in a Game 7. That is more than Kevin Garnett and Kendrick Perkins combined. Think about what that means. In a defensive slugfest where every possession mattered, Gasol controlled the glass. He gave the Lakers second chances. He prevented Boston from getting second chances. That is winning basketball. Now, some of you might be thinking, but Kobe took more shots because the defense focused on him. That opened things up for Gasol. And you know what? There's some truth to that. But let's think about this critically. If Kobe is shooting 6 for 24, that means the defense isn't being very effective against him. They're letting him take bad shots. His poor shooting isn't evidence of how much defensive attention he drew. It is evidence that he had a bad shooting series. Meanwhile, Pau Gasol was facing Kevin Garnett, Rasheed Wallace, Kendrick Perkins and Glenn Davis. That is multiple all-defensive team members, and Gasol still shot 47.8% from the field. Here's another way to think about it. Kobe averaged 2.3 turnovers per game in the series. Gasol averaged just 1.6 or 7 games. That is 14 fewer turnovers total. 2 entire games worth. That is ball security. That is smart basketball. The numbers are clear. If you just look at what happened on the court, divorced from the narrative and legacy and storylines, Pau Gasol had a stronger statistical case for Finals MVP than Kobe Bryant to Dwayne Wade and Paul Pierce. But here's what makes Pau Gasol's 2010 Finals performance even more remarkable, where he was coming from. In 2008, when the Lakers lost to the Celtics, Gasol was overwhelmed by Boston's physicality. Kevin Garnett dominated him, 18.2 points and 13 rebounds per game to Gasol's 14.7 and 10.2. Garnett won the rebounding battle in every single game. The narrative was brutal. Gasol is soft. He is a finesse European. He can't handle playoff intensity. He is not tough enough for this moment. Fast forward to 2010, I want to read you something that Greg Bacon article in the Odessa American titled Mr. Tough Guy. This was published after Game 1. Gasol showcased his evolving toughness with every rebound and big defensive play in the Lakers' 102-89 victory in the Thursday's opener. He had 23 points, 14 rebounds, while leading the Lakers' physical game with a stifling, aggressive performance against Kevin Garnett. 23 and 14 in Game 1, Gasol set the tone immediately. This wasn't timid player from 2008, this was a different Pau Gasol. The article quotes Gasol directly. I had to get myself mentally and physically ready for those type of challenges, Gasol said. Just to be able to deliver and play the way I can perform, I had to work throughout these 2 years to be kind of player that I am today. 2 years. Gasol spent 2 years transforming himself from a player who got pushed around to someone who could match Boston's intensity. Derek Fisher, his teammate, explained the change. He's deeper because of us now, whereas in 08 he had been with us just a few months, Fisher said. But the best perspective comes from someone who was actually trying to stop him, Paul Pierce. Paul Pierce witnessed both finals in 2008 and 2010. He knows what changed, and recently on Byron Scott's podcast, he said something remarkable.
Powell had like 20-something and 20 rebounds. He showed his toughness, and you can tell
he manned up that series that year.
24 put that battery in his back.
Yeah.
You saw it that series.
Yeah.
You was like, this ain't the same dude we saw.
Think about that for a second. The man who won Finals MVP in 08, the man who watched Garnett dominate Gasol in that series, is now saying that Gasol was the difference in 2010. Pierce went even further.
You know what I'm saying? Powell got tougher. I actually thought Powell should have been the MVP.
And the numbers back Pierce up. Remember earlier when I mentioned Gasol averaged 11.6 rebounds per game. Here's the kicker. Kevin Garnett and Kendrick Perkins, Boston's starting front court, combined for 11.4 rebounds per game. Pau Gasol by himself out-rebounded Boston's entire starting front court. This wasn't just about numbers, it was about identity. Gasol had shed the soft European label. He proved he could be physical. He proved he could dominate in a Game 7 against the Celtics defense. The story about 2010 finals shouldn't just be about Kobe's redemption. It should also be about Gasol's transformation from someone who couldn't handle the moment to someone who owned it. Okay, so we've covered the statistics, but let's talk about the intangibles, the things that don't always show up in the box score. Defense. Pau Gasol averaged 2.6 blocks per game in the 2010 finals. That led both teams, but it's not just about the blocks. It is about rim protection, about altering shots, about making Boston uncomfortable in the paint. In Game 7, a defensive slugfest where the final score was 83-79, defense was everything, and Gasol anchored the Lakers' interior defense while Kevin Garnett, Rasheed Wallace, and Glenn Davis tried to attack the rim. Minutes played. Gasol averaged 41.9 minutes per game, more than anyone on the either team, more than Kobe, who averaged 41.6. When your team needs you on the floor more than anyone else, that says something about your value. Versatility. Gasol could score in the post, hit mid-range jumpers, pass out of double teams, run the floor in transition, switch onto perimeter players, protect the rim. He did everything. He was Phil Jackson's Swiss Army knife. Now let me address the most common counter argument. Kobe's gravity created all those opportunities for Gasol. Defenses focused on Kobe, which freed up Pau. Kobe was an elite scorer who demanded defensive attention, but let's think through this carefully. If Kobe is shooting 6 for 24, if he is shooting 40% for the series, if he is going 1 for 7 in the first quarter of the Game 7, is the defense really being that effective, or is just Kobe missing shots? Here's another way to think about it. Was Pau Gasol facing easier defensive matchups than Kobe? Absolutely not. Gasol was going against Kevin Garnett, one of the greatest defenders of all time, Rasheed Wallace, a 4-time All-Defensive Team member, Kendrick Perkins, Boston's defensive anchor. These weren't easy matchups, this was elite defense, and Gasol still shot 47.8% from the field. The gravity argument also ignores that Gasol was the second option, not the first. He wasn't getting 25 shots per game, he was getting 13, and he made the most of them. Plus, let's be real, if your argument for why Kobe deserved Finals MVP is that he drew defensive attention while shooting poorly, isn't that actually an argument that he hurt his team's offense? Okay, but what about the fourth quarter of Game 7? Kobe scored 10 of his 23 points in the final frame. Doesn't that matter? Of course it matters. Clutch performance absolutely counts. But let's look at what else happened in that fourth quarter. Ron Artest scored 8 of his 20 points in the fourth quarter, including the game-sealing three-pointer. Pau Gasol grabbed the crucial defensive rebounds and made the key free throws down the stretch. The reality is that Game 7 was a team effort in the clutch. Kobe hit some big shots, yes, but he also went 3 for 12 through the first 3 quarters, and someone had to keep the Lakers in the game during those 36 minutes. That someone was Pau Gasol. The media had spent 2 years building up the redemption storyline. Kobe needed to beat Boston to prove he could win without Shaq, to prove he wasn't just a sidekick who got carried by the most dominant player of all time, to cement his legacy as an all-time great. And when the Lakers won Game 7, even though Kobe shot that 6 for 24, the narrative was too powerful to resist, the story was too good, the redemption arc was complete. To Kobe's credit, he acknowledged Gasol in his Finals MVP acceptance speech. "I can't say enough about the Spaniard. That guy is unbelievable and just hell of a player. We wouldn't have won it without him." Kobe knew. He knew Pau saved him in that series, but the voters had already made up their minds. After the finals, many justified Kobe's MVP by pointing to his leadership, his intensity, his presence, the way he elevated his teammates. Dwayne Wade, even while arguing Gasol should have won MVP, acknowledged this.
Because his leadership is always there. His intensity is always, that fire is always there. So because he's 8 for 24 from the field or something like that, you could never tell with a player like Kobe.
That is what great players do. They find ways to help their team, even when their primary skill isn't working. The emotional and psychological weight Kobe carried and overcame deserves recognition. Sometimes story matters. Sometimes the journey to moment is part of what makes the moment meaningful. These are all valid points, and honestly, if this was a close call, if Gasol and Kobe had similar statistical series, I would probably lean toward Kobe based on these factors. This is about properly crediting Pau Gasol, not diminishing Kobe Bryant's legacy. Pau Gasol was an elite player who transformed himself from soft European to championship warrior, who went toe-to-toe with Kevin Garnett and won, who carried the Lakers through the games that matters the most. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the 2010 finals, make sure you like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments. Do you think Pau Gasol deserved the finals MVP, or am I just stirring up for controversy for clicks like Paul Pierce and Dwayne Wade? And check out my other videos where we examine forgotten NBA stories